All right, it's Friday, October 10th. This is kind of a morning update on the SPY, which you can see has dropped pretty considerably here on the daily chart. Yesterday, I described how I was buying puts, on the early on the two up failure, and it was a good trade. And by the end of the day, I decided to buy some longer term puts, just anticipating that this 3 bar from yesterday would, after, it happened 2 days before that, would likely be, more susceptible to moving lower and broadening out on a higher time frame. I was describing how we had a 2 down failure developing on the weekly chart with 1 day to go. So anyway, I'm just sitting here all morning. I actually have I bought some 680 puts here at the end of yesterday into next week at a purchase price of 1040, and now they're all the way up to 20 if you can look at it here. So they've almost doubled as I'm continuing to watch it. So again, I've just been holding the puts. I bought some puts yesterday on a day trading basis, and then I bought some more on a little longer term basis. So at the moment, it's certainly heading a lot lower here. We have the outside week that unfolded where we took out the high the previous week, got through the midpoint of that week, so that projected to these lows. So now we have broadening action on the higher time frame. And I described on videos yesterday how I was kind of anticipating these double bottoms being taken out at some point. So it looks like, I don't know if it's going to happen today. That would be a pretty significant drop. And the only interesting thing here is, we do have broadening action on the weekly time frame. So we're just going to have to see how today closes. It's not necessarily you almost anticipate if it's a big red bar, it should probably test 2 down and then 2 up for an actionable signal back to the upside versus some strong continuation to that level. If we would have had a 2 down, or a 2 up failure that kind of closed short of this low, then you would have anticipated we take that low out next week. Now we've already taken it out, so it's kind of broadening action on a higher time frame. But if we close strongly red, I still see the targets down here. There's some gaps to fill. It could be the first red pullback. We had a 3 bar here, and you can see by the next week it gapped up. So that becomes a little tricky to know what happens early into next week. But I still think there's potential with these stops in play here. That's the big difference. I always kind of was watching those two, that those could be taken out. So let's see if that happens today or maybe, into, next week. But bottom line is up in this area. I was kind of looking for, I've been playing the short side of the puts, the SPY with puts for a few days here, and obviously a nice payoff today. So we'll see where today closes. But we do have the official 3 bar. Once we got through the midpoint of the prior week on this failure, we did project to the lows and we got there pretty fast. So now, you can see here on the 15-minute chart, it could be an area we pause just based on that fact. But again, I'm still looking at these two stops now that we've come all the way higher highs through the midpoint of this big move. This seems to be sitting here as targets. So until we really get some kind of reversal, either on the daily chart or the weekly chart, I'm going to keep an eye out on those two levels as the next target.